Hey friends, this is Jennifer Anderson with Uptown Common. I'm wondering today, have you spent much time thinking about how recognizable your booth is or not? People that come to shop at markets usually attend lots and lots of markets, which means that they see hundreds and hundreds, potentially thousands of vendor booths every year. And the question we need to be asking ourselves as vendors is, will ours be one of them that sticks out in their mind? And today I want to talk about why this is important, and how you can be sure, how you can be more confident that yours will be one that will stick out. And here are 4 things to consider. 1, does your business logo and the signage that you have around that match the vibe of your booth and the product you sell? So we a lot of times see a mismatch here. So like the logo was created for something different than what they're selling, or they just thought the logo was cute, but the things that they're selling are totally different. And there's just this big mismatch between who they say their business is and what they're actually providing in that business. So take a look at that and see if maybe you have a mismatch too, or there's a way to bring it closer together for people. Number 2, do your displays show your product to their best advantage? This is really important, and it's probably one of the hardest things and that'll take the most effort to get right in your booth. There are, so many different kinds of products, and how you display them depends on the product. It depends on your setup, what tables you're using, how the space that you want it to flow, all those things. And it's just hard. So when you're a vendor and you're popping up temporarily in places, you need things that are easy to transport, that will break down, but also display your product well and are also on brand. So this might take some thinking, it might take some brainstorming, bring in some other fresh eyes if you need to. For example, like Grant's coasters, his leather coasters, we tried so hard to find the right display piece for those, and it didn't exist anywhere here. We eventually found something, the one thing, and apparently all of the world that exists was in England, and so we had to have that piece shipped in so that his leather coasters could be displayed to their best advantage, and it made all the difference. So consider this, what your brand is, how your pieces will be displayed best. You might have to do some research. You might have to have some things shipped in like we did, although I've never heard of people doing that before. Most people seem to be able to find what they need closer than England. But that's an option. And make sure that it's orderly and it looks nice and it's inviting and people can touch it and people don't feel like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna mess up that display. So there's just a lot that goes into that. So be sure that you're thinking through it very well and get some feedback if you need it. The 3rd thing to consider is, do the style and color of your tablecloths, your displays, and everything support what you want shoppers to feel and to remember. So it starts with something even as simple as a tablecloth, and that gives all sorts of vibes to people. If you're using a plastic tablecloth from a party store, most likely what a shopper is going to feel is that you just rushed around to make this happen. And so can they trust the quality of your product? Are you going to be around in the future if they have an issue with it? Like all these things are going to kind of pop into the back of their mind, all from a tablecloth potentially. Those types of tablecloths don't go all the way to the floor, so it also creates a disorganized look in a booth that uses them, because all the stuff that you put underneath it, maybe the totes you use to carry your things in, and all of that is visible to people, and so it detracts from the whole look, the cleanness and the orderliness of a booth. Color matters, so a lot of people will just use what they have on hand, and sometimes it's patterned or it has words on it, and that may distract. In fact, it's probably very likely that those types of things will distract from your product and your booth, unless it's very intentionally done and you have thought this out. So Don't just grab what's in the closet and throw it on your tables and be like, hey, I covered the table, it's great. Think about it a little deeper than that, and how does it all work together? Display pieces, so, you know, there's a lot of variations in this, but just because a display piece might display your things well, back to the point number 2 I made just a minute ago, but does it match? Does it blend in? If you're like, our tablecloths are black, is the piece black? Does that make it blend in? Does it make it stand out? What are we trying to accomplish with the piece? So consider all of that, and does it create the feel? Does it look cluttered? Does it look orderly? Does it look nice? Does it make me want to approach and see more? And does it make me remember? Is there a general feel that stands out in a shopper's mind? Number 4 is, does your booth space look unique from everyone else's? And this one is also something that we see a lot. Sometimes it's like, wow, I just walked into this market and there's 100 booths here and half of them look very similar. I couldn't tell, you know, if you put them all next to each other, I wouldn't know which one is which. And you know, there's a lot of that because certain display pieces are easy and less expensive, and you know, they show up over and over again, different styles. Like a lot of times you'll see the light wood, plywood looking displays that are made to break down real easy and transport, and those are great. They are everywhere though, so be careful when you're using them that you're achieving what you want to achieve, and you don't just start blending in with all the other people using them. And to summarize all of those things, really what we're going for here is the overall effect of your booth something that will compel shoppers to stop and take the time to walk into your booth because it's unique and because they think they might find something interesting in there? If it doesn't, you know, and there's lots of other factors that go into this, like how you look, how you engage with them, all of that, but we're just talking right now about the booth itself and the foundational pieces that make it your booth. So keep that in mind. Sometimes it's hard to think of this on your own, especially if you're new and you don't know what to look for, or if you've been doing it a while, you just kind of see what you want to see. So getting another set of eyes to look at it could be helpful to get some good feedback for things to change. Because you have about 10 seconds as a shopper walks by the front of your booth to make enough of an impression that they will want to stop and engage with you and your product. If your booth looks just like everyone else's, or if they can't tell what it is that you do, or if the effect of the whole thing is unprofessional, you will lose the chance to make a sale to them right then at that market. But also in the future, because they're not going to remember you, they're not going to think of you when they need whatever you sell, because it didn't stick in their mind, and they've seen hundreds, thousands of different booths. So get some feedback if you need to. I am willing to help. If you would like, drop a picture of your booth in the comments, and I'll give you 1 or 2 things that pop out, you know, in my mind when I see it, and I'll be glad to help you that way. If you have any comments to share, questions to ask, feel free to leave those in the comments as well, and I will see you next time.